Hello and welcome to Boston Ramesh channel. Today is day 20 of my ServiceNow application developer certification journey. In this video, I'll be going through some of the items I have learned in the module 4 of the application development fundamentals course. In this video, I will be going through some of the items that are related to creating or modifying tables, as well as creating ServiceNow forms. Also, in this video, I'll be going through the lab that is required to create forms for the loaner request application as part of this course. As part of the custom application development, we will deal with creating or updating tables and creating or updating forms. So to understand better, we need to know what tools are available in the ServiceNow and what are the principles that ServiceNow asks us to follow. And this mind map will help us to review those items. First, let's look at the user experience. As we all know, user experience is the most important aspect of any application development process. While creating or updating tables or forms, we need to know what is the best design principle that we need to follow. Some of them include it should be logical, the forms should be, the form layout should be logically available, and then it should be a guided form. That means users should have all the help that they need to use the form. And then the next one is platform specific. That means the user should be able to access the form and use it effectively, regardless of what tool they are, what device they are using, like laptop, desktop, or smartphone. And then forms should make sure that they display the layout should be aligned with the process of that application business need, and then a lot of useful messages needs to be displayed to the user so that they don't um, have any problem in completing or submitting the form. Now let's see some of the items under the fields and columns. As we all know, columns or fields in table can be uh, part of a new table, which is a custom table, or these fields can be uh, part of the extended table. That means these fields may be part of the parent table that we probably cannot change, but we can change the label. That is possible. And then we can update those labels regardless. And then if we need to delete something, we cannot delete columns or fields from the parent table, but we can definitely delete from the custom table. However, we need to be very careful. These things needs to be done before the actual data being collected, and before moving to the production, because once the data starts collected in the production, then it's going to be a huge headache to really delete an existing column, because we'll lose a lot of data, and then we have to archive the data, and then we have to move the data into a different column or do a lot of analysis to do that stuff before we do that. Now, from a new fields or columns perspective, these are probably part of the custom table. And then, and if we, when we create a new field, then the label should be uh, following the capitalizing the first letter only in the label. And then we need to make a lot of decisions if we really need that column, or we can repurpose an existing one. Some examples of the fields. These are pretty much industry standard, nothing specific to the service now. Date, time, decimal, string, boolean. But the reference is something interesting. When we see that reference, then we can definitely understand. The reference is basically pulling the data or field value from a related table. So let's see what ServiceNow is offering. This is the list that we can go back and look at it, what all the field types are available. Now let's look at the forms. This is a big list here. We'll go through it one by one. When we look at the forms, there are different types of forms. The layouts are different. There will be a need for tooltips. As I said, the form should be helpful, and then the form should have meaningful labels, and then only important fields needs to be there on the form. We should not bog down the user to provide a lot of data that is not useful at all. And then feedback messages. That means that the user should know whether it is a informative message or a warning message or a field level message, or an error before submitting or while submitting or during the submitting the form. So looking at the types, forms can be inherited forms or default forms. Inherited forms, basically, this is a big benefit of extending a table. That means every time when we extend a table, the table will bring its existing configurations, and part of the package is to see the existing forms that comes when we extend a table, and those are called inherited forms. And we need to modify those inherited forms by adding the um, custom fields. And default forms are basically when you create a new table, the process will automatically create a form. And this is probably not useful right away. We got to definitely modify that. And from a layout perspective, as I said before, this is probably a repeat, but definitely I wanted to catch any missing pieces of the layout process. The design of the layout of any form should be logical, will have sections, and it should be well organized. And then users should have the option to see several different categories of a group of fields in tabs or no tabs. And then whenever we use different colors or styles, it should not really put a lot of stress on the user when they open the form. And then obviously there will be layout will be different, different columns type of view. In every section there can be a single column layout or a dual column layout, so that is also part of the layout design. And coming to the design of a form, ServiceNow provide this tool called Form Designer, which is the out of the box GUI tool, the drag and drop type of uh, designer tool, which is very, very useful and very convenient. And let's see some of the key areas of this form designer: field navigator, header, form layout, table. This is where you select which table will be used while we are creating the form. And then view, what type of a view that will be selected as from the drop down box. It will be available in the header. And then actions, and the actions are basically what should happen when user enters something in a field. And then fields will have field actions, and then fields will have field properties, and then field types, sections, handles. These are the handles of each field that you can drag around, and we can change the sequence and priority on all that. And then annotations, basically you are telling the user and they're giving the information to the user to do certain things. And the next one is views. This is again a very important aspect of showing different layouts for different purposes, for different roles and different user types, different personas. So there will be default view, customer view. In administrator and developers will have access to all the types of views. There will be a self-service view that is called ESS, or the employee self-service view. And you can use a lot of different ways of showing that. And it's called tailor functionality, we can call them. And then there will be rules. The view rules will provide a set of mechanisms to put some filters so that when a particular view is displayed to a certain persona, what should happen? The user is supposed to see it or not. So some security layer implementation is possible using the rules. So that is about this mind map. I hope I have covered everything, but by looking at it itself, it gives me some sort of clarity, a high level view that what I have learned. And then by looking at it, I immediately understand certain areas. And then it's going to give me some confidence when I'm preparing for the exam. Now I will go through a lab to create and configure fields and form for the loan request application. Also, I will be creating a view for the same app. All right, so I just logged into the simulator ServiceNow instance, and I wanted to see the tables and other files available for my application, which is Boston Ramesh loaner request. Here I wanted to see what the table that I have. So data model, I have the table loaner request. My table loaner request is now open. So I just added few columns here so I can see uh, the parent table that we have extended is tagged. So I wanted to see how many fields that were available. So mostly out of the 71 that I see here, I see most of them were tasked except the last one here, which is the SysID. That is the table's SysID here, loaner request, but otherwise there are no custom labels available. So we can use as much as possible all the parent tables fields here for our form, but let me go through the lab and see if we need to create new columns. But before that, I wanted to open the Boston Ramesh application, and then I wanted to see how the default form looks like. So the form that we are seeing right now is nothing that I have created. This just came because it is an inherited form that is part of the task. So if we open a task, that task form should look just like this. But as per the lab requirement, the desired view of the form for the loaner form is completely different. So as part of that, what they're asking is to remove certain fields like parent. Do you have the parent? Yeah. So this is the one they wanted to remove, and they also wanted to remove priority, and they don't want to display the active. So we're gonna I so I will be remove these three fields. Also, they are asking to add requested for field, start date, end date, item type, and location to be used and depot. I don't know which one is our part of the task table and which one is not. For example, if I say requested for, I'm expecting this is part of the task because usually tasks are requested. So let me see if the requested is available. Hmm, column label. So I don't see the request is available here. Yeah, there's nothing available. Do we have the start? So I'm gonna look for the start. Actual start, expected start. Maybe we need to change the labels because they're asking start date and end date. And do we have the item type? Item type. I don't know if that is the same as a configuration item. Let me see if this is similar to this. Oh, it's the same thing. And then there is a thing called depot. I'm sure that should be a custom one because depot usually we are talking about the loaner request. So loaner request is something we are talking about. We are renting or sorry, yep, loan. We are giving a loan of a particular device, then it should go from a particular depot. So that is part of the custom application. And so I want to just see what is available, the default view. So I clicked on the forms, and then there is loaner request, that is a default view. And by clicking that, it is actually opening the form designer. This is what we talked about. This is basically a GUI for us to do a drag and drop form creation tool, so, which is easy. It's pretty easy, but I need to know what I need to build. So let me go through the lab and start working on it. So they asked us to remove three fields. So first is priority, second one is parent, and third one is active. So I'm going to just go ahead and delete this one. I'm going to delete this one and also delete the active. I'm done. So I'm going to just say save. Should I just click on the save? I just click the save. I just click on the save. All right, so I just clicked on the save, so it is done. If I go back here and refresh this, yep, they're gone. So I just have uh, the remaining items. I need to add a few more to make it desired view. Now I'll be adding the first one as part of the lab. It's called requested type, requested for. That means we are making sure whoever is requesting it, their information is captured. So requested for should be a reference field because that information will be coming from a different table called user table. So reference is basically I'm going to pull here and put it under the number. And then when I'm here, I'm going to click on this field reference. So I'm configuring this particular requested for reference field. Change the label to requested for, and then the name is requested underscore for. And then I'm going to select user is the table that is where we are pulling the data from. So it's called sys underscore user. So let me just search for it. Sys underscore user. I selected the user under sys underscore table for the reference, and then I made it mandatory. And then simply closing this should give whatever that information that we have. So if I go back and click on it, it should retain everything that we have put together. Now I need to add start date and end date. So I'm gonna pick up the date time field here, date time, then drag and drop right here. I'm gonna do the same thing for that is a start one, then this is the end date. And I need to configure the first one, which is a start date. It's called start date. As you see, I'm just using the first one as a capital and the remaining all are lowercase letters. And the name should be, so you see this U underscore, that is a user created fields that we are using it. These are the fields. So I'm gonna just say that. Now the next field is to display the number of items, the choice list. So I have selected the choice and just dragged it and over here. This is something that I have configured already, item type, and then I select a choice type is drop down with none. And there are 3 items that I have added: laptop, mobile phone, projector, and it starts with the cmdb underscore ci. And selected the default value to laptop. Now let me see how the form looks like once I save it. I still need to add a few more, but I wanted to make sure it is displaying properly. I go here and click on it. So I see the start date is mandatory, end date is mandatory, requested for is mandatory, and the item type is laptop is default, and then we have laptop, mobile phone, and projector. Added another field called depot. It's a choice list again. This will display different cities across the globe for this loaner request application. And I just refresh this one to see how they look like. So basically all the cities are available and the default is Santa Clara. I just updated the state field. This is a uh, part of the inherited form, but what I did is as part of the lab, they asked us to keep the closed complete as it is, but I wanted to add requested, reserved, deployment prep, ready for pickup, check it out, post deployment to support the process, the loaner request process. So I just save it and then go here and quickly refresh this, and I should be able to see whatever that is just updated here. Now I'm creating a new section by clicking on it. So let me go ahead and do that. So in this new section, I'm going to use this, change that header to log, and change this column. So there are 2 columns layout here. I just want to make it a 1 column layout. So I can just drag and drop certain fields here. I'm adding 2 fields here. One is additional comments. right one here. The first one goes here, and then we get the next one is work notes. So I had added the additional comments and the work notes under the log section, updated the header of this existing section to statistics, and I'm going to add a bunch of items here. This will be a 2-column layout. I'm going to make a 2-column layout. So I have completed all the required fields and adding sections and so on and so forth. So if you see, I have added short description and description without the header. So that means it should not display any a break line here, but also added a log and added a bunch of fields here. So when I go here, it should display as expected. Now you see short description, statistics. Um, the most important thing is we see this here is the tabs. So if somebody wants to not to see this in a tabs structure, like this is a grouped by thing, because every section can have a different tab, you can definitely go in and changes the preferences here. Say for example, if the display you don't want to see in a sections, then if you click on that, then if you come back, then it should display with no tabs. That means everything will be displayed in a single page like this, no tabs. But I don't want to do that because I want those tabs pretty useful. So I go back here, display, and put it back, and then it should have the tabs. It's more organized. So the next activity in this lab is to create a view. See, the views are right here. View default view is available. I'm going to create a new view called ESS view. ESS is nothing but the self-service view. Let me go ahead and do that. So once I saved it after creating the ESS, it's by default it went to self-service automatically. So that is the backend configuration. The ESS is configured to show the self-service view. To see where these are configured, we will go ahead into our application navigator here, and then say system UI, and then we see the views right here. And then these are all the views that are available out of the box. Let me go ahead and search for the ESS. So if you see the ESS, this is where the self-service is configured. So every time when I enter that ESS, the title is automatically selected as self-service. That is right here. So when I created this form or configured this form, it was a default view. And then when I select the self-service view, it is still the same thing. So what is the difference? It's if it is the same thing, then there is no need for a new view. So I got to change something for the self-service. So let me see in the lab documentation what I need to change. So as per the lab documentation, for the self-service view, I should not display log or the statistics. So that means I need to just remove these two sections. So that's very easy. So I'll go ahead and click on the cross button here, and then it should be done. And I saved it. So once I save it, when I go back to this, the form, that is a loaner request form right here. And then this is basically when you look at the configure, uh, it should be when I save it, then only it will work probably. So to test that, I would like to go ahead and save this record, and I'm gonna create a new record. This is the first time, so I'm select the able tutor. The start date is today, and then end date is probably next week. There is nothing else I need to do here, so I can just go ahead and create the save. So once I save it, so I go back to, and I can do the same thing here, but I just want to go from all of them. So I got a new record here. I'll open it and I should be able to see a different view. So I have default view that is by default open, and I wanted to see the difference what I configured for the self-service view. Now I come to the self-service view. I don't see those items like logs and statistics tabs. So that is what I have achieved. So this is the expectation from the lab. So what I have done is I have created a new form, and I changed the default view to add those extra fields. Now I wanted to see if I have added any additional columns here, right? So for example, if I go to my table, where is my table? Here is a table. So I just want to look at what table columns I have, refresh the list. See, I have added the depot because, so I just unfiltered that. So that means I can see everything. Um, so these are all the fields that we have seen. Now just go ahead and filter out the task table and see how many of the new custom fields I have added as part of the form building process. So there are multiple ways of creating the table fields, but the one strategy was to create the required whatever the fields that were necessary uh, to fill the form. So during the form creation process, we have added new fields, and those new fields were created in this custom table called loaner request. So if you see, as I mentioned before, if there are custom fields, then we can delete it. Otherwise, you cannot delete it. So for the deletion process, you have to mark for deletion. So we can delete this start date requested for location to be used, item type, in date, and depot. I don't know why the depot is, I'm not able to delete it. I don't know if I'm not able to see it or not, but it is also a custom one because it's in the same table. So I should be able to delete it, but I'm not able to see this cross mark. So that's okay. I'm not worried about it right now, but this will help me to say mark for deletion so we can delete it. So that is about the conclusion of this lab. So I'm happy that I have created the form in two different views. I know exactly that is required, what is required, and uh, the the logic behind everything. Every time when we do something, the logic should execute on this. So right now we have just created a form, but there must be a lot of things that needs to be implemented in terms of the process flow, logic flow, and make sure that things are not happening uh, to disrupt the workflow. So that is the next step. Client scripts will come probably next. So I will go ahead and see in my next video. Thank you. Before I conclude this video, I wanted to record something that probably is very useful for folks who are going through this type of trainings, where the ServiceNow instance, the simulator instance, uh, is about to expire, and you have worked on it for almost like 7 days or 10 days, and then suddenly you have no way of looking at how to save that. In that case, this is probably going to be very useful for you. So what we have to do is we have to put all the development work into an update set, and then export the XML to your local machine, and then migrate that scoped application to a new instance, a new simulator instance. And in this video, I'm going to show this, simulate the same thing. I export what I have done so far, and then import into a new instance. So to do that, I opened the custom application, Boston Ramesh Loaner Request application, record here. To open that, it's simple. You just come here, you click on this particular open record, and it will open it here. What I'm going to do is I click on the publish to update set, and this should um, bring everything that I have done so far into the update set. Now I have published it, then it will be available for me in the local update sets. That's where here, the Boston Ramesh, this is the update set, and it includes every single bit of the work that I have done so far. Everything is part of this update set. Now what I do is to export to XML. I just click on this and it will export that XML file for me to use to migrate my application to another developer instance. So I logged into another personal developer instance of mine, and then I try to just make sure that you see the Boston Ramesh application is not available in this. So once I import that update set, the migration should bring in all the custom application and all the related artifacts. So let me go ahead and look for where to do this. So it is retrieved update sets. So here, this is a place where we will receive the update set by doing the import process. So I'm going to import that XML file from my local machine. So now in this page, I just selected the XML file which I exported from my simulator instance. I do the upload, and this upload should bring all the data from the XML file. And what we need to do here is, in this particular step, we need to do a preview update set, which will give us so this preview is telling me that there is some problem and we need to fix that problem. Without that, we cannot do it. So in this case, what we need to do is we need to just accept the remote update and then update it. And once we update it, we open this again and we do the commit update set. This commit update set will update all the data that we have in the XML file to create the application, and the related artifact should be done. Now it is succeeded 100%. Now I wanted to see if that custom application called Boston Ramesh loaner request application is available. So I'm going to go and click on here and try to see. So I see the Boston Ramesh loaner request application is available, and create new. So it is bringing all the forms I have created. Everything is intact. So just to make sure that we have everything available, I'm going to open the studio. So in this studio, I'm going to open the Boston Ramesh loaner request, and all the items that are available that were there in the loaner request, in the simulator instance are available. So whatever that I had in the simulator instance, I have now everything in this personal developer instance. So this is how you can migrate a scoped application or a custom application from one instance to another instance. And that concludes this video on day 20 of my ServiceNow learning journey. I hope you liked this video and maybe it's useful for you in your ServiceNow learning journey. If this series helps you, please like and subscribe to the Boston Ramesh channel. Hope you can join me on my next video on day 21. Thank you and have a good day.